So here we are on the 76, first day raking hay for 2015. The other day we came through and we cut all this hay down with the 8235R, and we got the wheel rake behind us. Now this rake is hooked up with two SCVs over here. So the middle one we have hooked up to control in and out. Kind of see it moving back and forth there. So you can control your wing width. And then the first one controls the actual wheels moving up and down, whether they're hitting the ground or not. Push forward, they should drop, so they're down right now. And if I pull back, you'll see that they aren't going to move. So what I got to do is I got to adjust the pressure back here. Look right there. See number one? They're hooked up to number one, which is this lever right here. So if I turn this, now it should do something. There we go. Just how I want it. The key here is to shift up and slow the engine down, because there's really no point in using more fuel than you have to, so you might as well slow it down as much as you can. You're saving fuel that way. For the sake of keeping everything tidy, I usually start raking in the middle of the strip. I set the wing width for about 2 rows, and then I work out. I do the first 2 inside passes first, and then I do the outside. The reason I do the outside is that so that when you're going around the last time, you're not messing up the hay, because you can make it look really ugly in a hurry if you start on the outside and work in, because you got to enter somewhere and you got to leave somewhere, and you're just going to be running over your hay and whatnot. So it's best just to start in the middle. So if you run over any hay, it's what hasn't been raked yet, and it still maintains that fluffiness off the ground. It's raking up beautifully right now. Some people ted their hay, which means that they come through with a machine that spreads it out throughout the entire width of the field. It's intended to speed up the drying process, which is good, because after you cut down the plant, it immediately starts losing moisture. But it also has openings on the underside of the leaves called stomata or stomata, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And with those, basically they're just small holes. What those allow is the moisture to escape out of the plant. And you want to cut hay in optimum conditions for drying, because if conditions are not optimum, the stomata will close up and it will increase in-field fermentation for one, and it will also increase your drying time, because the air is not able to escape. The moisture is not able to escape as quickly. So that's why you want to cut when conditions are optimum. You know, humidity, they say, can be pretty good, but what I like to have is lower humidity, but a lot of wind moving over the hay, because it keeps the air moving and it tends to make that moisture inside the hay evaporate away. It's also best to kind of try to keep from handling the hay too much out in the field, because the more you handle it, say if you ted it, that's just increasing the amount of leaf loss that you'll have. And what you want in the alfalfa is the leaves, because that's the highest nutrition. The leaves have the highest nutritional content, or the highest nutritional value. So you want to keep your leaves from falling off, and if it's extremely dry, the leaves will have more of a tendency to fall off. So in just a few hours, Travis is going to come through with the baler and start baling. And hopefully I'll get some video of that too. actual reason that we rake can vary between, well, first off, you have to bring the rows together to bale it. You don't have to, but you really should, because you'll save a lot of time on time and fuel on making passes in the field, because you're making more passes than you really should have to be. And the other reason to rake is so that you lift the hay up off the ground, it flips it over, at least to some extent, and it allows more air to infiltrate to evaporate any more moisture that might be in the hay before you bale it, because you don't want to have a high moisture content, especially in your round bales, if you do not wrap them, because they can start heating because of the fermentation that goes on the inside of them, and you don't want them to heat, because there have been situations, and I have heard stories of people going and round baling wet hay and then having them ignite out in the field, which is good that they ignite it out in the field, because then, first off, wherever you put it, it didn't ignite with it, because if you put it in a shed, you could get in some trouble really quick if you started your barn or wherever you're storing your bales on fire. Anybody who has wet wrapped bales will tell you that if you bale them when they're too wet, on the inside of the actual bale, if you tear it apart and feel the inside of it, you can almost scald your hand because it's so hot on the inside, which is not a good thing, because you don't want that much fermentation going on the inside of the bales. Now that we've gotten that all taken care of, we can come through and start baling in a few hours. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out my other videos, be sure to subscribe, and be sure to stay tuned. See you next time.